Hi, I am Sophia. Welcome to True Payback, where story hits different. Hit subscribe. Let's dive in.
The text came through at 3:47 p.m. on December 18th, right as I was reviewing Q4 projections with my CFO. The message was from my father. It took me less than a minute to read. It took me considerably longer to decide how to respond. Sarah, your mother and I need to discuss Christmas Eve with you. Can you call tonight? I didn't call. I knew what was coming. He called me instead at 8:15 p.m. I was still at the office. I answered on the second ring. Sarah, we need to talk about Christmas. Okay. Your sister's fiancé, Trevor, will be joining us this year. He's a vice president at Goldman Sachs. This is a big moment for Amanda. We want to make the right impression. I waited. The thing is, we're keeping it small this year. Intimate. Just immediate family and Trevor. I'm immediate family. You know what I mean. Amanda's been through so much this year. She's finally found someone who understands her world. Someone successful. Someone who can provide stability. Someone unlike me, he meant. We think it's best if you skip this year. Give them space. Let Amanda shine. I looked at the framed Fortune magazine cover on my office wall. The headline read, 30 Under 30, the AI Founders Reshaping Supply Chain Management. My photograph took up half the page. Hey, I said. You understand. I do. Good. We'll do something in January. Just us. He hung up before I could respond. Not that I was planning to. My mother called the next morning. I was in a board meeting, so I let it go to voicemail. She left a message. Sweetheart, your father told me about the conversation. I hope you understand. This is really important for Amanda. Trevor comes from such a good family. His father knows people at Goldman. Real connections. We just want everything to be perfect for her. You know how hard she's worked. You'll come to the engagement party in January. We'll make it special. I deleted the message. I'd stopped trying to explain what I did for work around the time SupplyWise AI hit our Series B funding round. That was 2 years ago. Sequoia Capital led the round. We raised $47 million at a $340 million valuation. Forbes called it one of the most promising enterprise software deals of the year. My family had no idea. When I left my job at McKinsey 6 years ago to start the company, my father said I was throwing away a perfectly good career. When I tried to explain what supply chain optimization software actually did, my mother asked if I was doing something with computers. When the company started generating revenue, my sister Amanda asked if I was still doing that tech support thing. I stopped correcting them. By the time we closed our Series C in March, $120 million at a $2.1 billion valuation, I'd learned that some gaps are too wide to bridge with words. My family saw what they wanted to see. A daughter who'd left a stable consulting job to chase a startup dream. A sister who worked too much and had nothing to show for it. They didn't see the corner office on the 42nd floor of One Market Plaza in San Francisco. They didn't see the team of 87 employees across 3 offices. They didn't see the client list that included 6 Fortune 100 companies. They saw someone to exclude from Christmas. Amanda called on December 20th. Sarah, I'm sorry about Christmas Eve. It's fine. It's not fine. But you have to understand. Trevor's family is very traditional. Very established. His father was a partner at Goldman before he retired. They summer in the Hamptons. They know the Clintons. Okay. I need this to go well. I need them to see me as someone who fits into their world. Having you there would complicate things. How? She paused. You know how. Tell me. You're always working. You never talk about anything except your startup. You don't have a partner. You don't have kids. You don't even have a normal job title that people understand. Trevor's mother asked what you do and I didn't know what to tell her. Something with logistics software. It's embarrassing. I said nothing. This is my chance, Sarah. Can't you just let me have this? I'm not taking anything from you. Then you understand why you can't come. I understand. She hung up. December 26th arrived cold and clear. I was at the office by 7:30 a.m. We had a meeting scheduled for 10 a.m. due diligence session with Goldman Sachs. They were representing Harrington Industries in their potential acquisition of SupplyWise AI. Harrington wanted to acquire us for $2.8 billion. All cash. The deal had been in negotiation for 3 months. Goldman was handling their side. We'd been working with their M&A team since October. Today was the final due diligence review before both sides presented to their respective boards. David Chin, my chief of staff, had coordinated everything. Conference room A. Full executive team present. Catering from Tartine. Fresh coffee every 30 minutes. I arrived at the conference room at 9:45 a.m. My team was already there. David stood near the door, tablet in hand, reviewing the presentation deck one last time. Goldman's team is scheduled to arrive at 10, he said. 4 people. 2 senior VPs, 1 associate and 1 VP named Trevor Ashford. He's the relationship lead on Harrington's side. I looked up. Trevor Ashford? Yes. Do you know him? I might. David checked his tablet. He's been with Goldman for 6 years. MBA from Wharton. Specializes in tech M&A. This is his first deal over $2 billion. Big moment for him, apparently. I sat down at the head of the table. I'm sure it is. At 9:58 a.m., our receptionist called. Miss Chin, the Goldman Sachs team is here. Send them up. David walked to the elevator bay. I remained seated. My CFO, Patricia Huang, sat to my right. My CTO, James Kim, sat to my left. 3 other senior executives filled the remaining seats. We'd run this meeting structure 100 times. Everyone knew their role. The conference room door opened. David walked in first. 4 people followed. 3 men in dark suits. 1 woman in a navy dress. I recognized 2 of them from previous calls. The senior VPs. We'd been on video conferences together for weeks. The 3rd man was Trevor. He walked in talking. He didn't look at the table. He was mid-sentence with one of the senior VPs, something about the Knicks game last night, and he was laughing, and he still hadn't looked up when David said very clearly, "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Please have a seat. Allow me to introduce Sarah Chin, founder and CEO of SupplyWise AI." Trevor looked up. He saw me. I watched the color drain from his face. "Good morning," I said. "Welcome to SupplyWise AI. We're glad you're here." Trevor's mouth opened. No sound came out. He stood frozen in the doorway. One of the senior VPs, a man named Richard Kowalski, stepped forward and extended his hand. "Miss Chin, pleasure to finally meet in person. We've heard remarkable things about what you've built here." I shook his hand. "Thank you. Please sit." Richard sat. The woman sat. The other senior VP sat. Trevor remained standing. His face had gone from pale to red. He was staring at me like I'd appeared out of thin air. David moved to the side of the room. He was holding a coffee carafe. "Can I get anyone coffee? Water?" Trevor finally moved. He sat down heavily in the chair directly across from me. His hands were shaking. He placed them flat on the table, pressing down like he was trying to steady himself. "Let's begin," I said. "Patricia, would you walk us through the Q4 financials?" Patricia opened her laptop. The screen behind me lit up with our quarterly revenue report. She began presenting. Trevor wasn't listening. He was staring at me. His jaw was tight. His eyes kept darting to the presentation screen, then back to me, then to David, then back to me. Richard Kowalski took notes. The woman asked clarifying questions. The other senior VP nodded along, occasionally checking his phone. Trevor said nothing. 15 minutes into the presentation, his phone buzzed. He glanced down. Then again. Then a 3rd time. He picked it up, typed something quickly and set it down. It buzzed again immediately. He ignored it. Patricia finished the financials. "As you can see, we're projecting $340 million in revenue for fiscal year 2025, with an EBITDA margin of 38%. Our enterprise client retention rate is 97%. Richard smiled. "Exceptional. Truly exceptional." I nodded to James. "James, why don't you walk everyone through our product roadmap and the technical infrastructure that supports our scalability?" James began. Trevor's phone buzzed again. He picked it up. "Read the message." His face went even redder. He typed something back, his thumbs moving fast, almost angry. He set the phone down face up on the table. I could see the screen from where I sat. The contact name read, Amanda. The messages kept coming. "What's happening?" "Trevor, call me." "Why aren't you answering?" James talked through our infrastructure. our server architecture, our data security protocols, our API integrations with existing ERP systems. Trevor wasn't listening. He was reading his phone. His breathing had changed. Faster. Shallow. Richard asked a technical question. James answered it. The woman asked a follow-up. James answered that too. Trevor looked up at me. "Excuse me," he said. His voice cracked slightly. "I need to step out for a moment." I looked at him. "We're in the middle of a presentation." "I understand. This will just take a minute. We have a schedule to maintain. Can it wait?" He stared at me. Something passed across his face. Panic. Anger. Desperation. "No," he said. "It can't." I nodded. 5 minutes. He stood and walked out of the conference room. The door closed behind him. Richard looked at me apologetically. "I'm sorry about that. Trevor's been under a lot of stress with this deal." "I understand," I said. "David, can you refresh everyone's coffee while we wait?" David moved around the table with the carafe. I could hear Trevor's voice in the hallway. Muffled. Urgent. He was on the phone. Patricia leaned toward me slightly. "You okay?" she whispered. "Fine," I whispered back. 3 minutes later, Trevor returned. His face was composed, but his neck was blotchy red. He sat down without apologizing. He placed his phone face down on the table this time. "Shall we continue?" I asked. Richard nodded. "Please." I stood and walked to the presentation screen. "I'd like to walk you through our acquisition pipeline and strategic growth plan for the next 3 years. As you know, Harrington Industries operates in 12 verticals. We've identified integration opportunities in 9 of them." I clicked to the next slide. It showed a detailed breakdown of Harrington's supply chain operations. Warehouses, distribution centers, inventory management systems, procurement workflows. Our software would save Harrington approximately $240 million annually in operational efficiencies. That's a conservative estimate based on current data. With full integration across all verticals, we project savings could exceed $400 million by year 3. Trevor was staring at the screen. Really staring. For the first time since he'd walked into the room, he seemed to be paying attention. "How did you get this data?" he asked quietly. "Harrington provided it during our preliminary due diligence in October. Your team sent it over. I believe you were on the distribution list." He said nothing. I clicked to the next slide. Here's our implementation timeline. Phase 1 begins 30 days post-acquisition. Full integration complete within 18 months. We've already identified the key personnel on Harrington's side who would need to be involved. We've built the training modules. We've stress-tested the migration process. Richard was taking notes again. Fast. The woman was nodding. The other senior VP leaned forward. "This is incredibly thorough," Richard said. "We don't do anything halfway," I replied. I walked them through the rest of the presentation. Market positioning. Competitive analysis. Risk mitigation strategies. Patent portfolio. Our 12 pending AI patents that would transfer to Harrington as part of the acquisition. Trevor's phone buzzed again. He didn't pick it up. 40 minutes later, I concluded the presentation. "That covers everything on our end. Do you have questions?" Richard had questions. Technical questions. Strategic questions. Timeline questions. I answered all of them. Patricia answered some. James answered others. Trevor asked nothing. He sat with his hands folded on the table, staring at a spot just past my left shoulder. At 11:47 a.m. Richard stood. "Miss Chin, this has been extraordinarily productive. You've built something truly remarkable here. I'll be recommending to Harrington's board that we move forward to final negotiations." "I'm glad to hear it," I said. "We believe this partnership would be mutually beneficial." We shook hands. The woman shook my hand. The other senior VP shook my hand. Trevor stood slowly. He didn't extend his hand. He just looked at me. "Trevor," Richard said, "aren't you going to thank Ms. Chin for her time?" Trevor's jaw tightened. "Thank you," he said. His voice was flat. "You're welcome," I replied. David escorted them to the elevator. I remained in the conference room. Patricia stayed behind. "What was that about?" she asked. "Nothing." That wasn't nothing. That man looked like he'd seen a ghost. He'll be fine. He studied my face. Do you know him? He's engaged to my sister. Patricia's eyes widened. Oh. Yeah. Does she know what you do? She thinks I do tech support. Patricia laughed. Came out sharp and sudden. You're kidding. I'm not. And he had no idea he was walking into a meeting with you. No. God, that must have been satisfying. I looked at her. It wasn't about satisfaction. What was it about? I didn't answer. My phone rang at 1:23 p.m. Amanda. I let it go to voicemail. She called again at 1:31 p.m. Again at 1:45 p.m. At 2 p.m. my father called. I didn't answer that either. At 2:30 p.m. my mother called. I answered. Sarah, what did you do? I had a business meeting. Trevor called Amanda. He's devastated. He said you humiliated him. I presented our company's acquisition proposal to Goldman Sachs. Trevor was part of the Goldman team. I didn't humiliate anyone. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you what? That you're the CEO of a real company. That you're, she paused. Amanda said Trevor told her you're selling your company for billions of dollars. Is that true? We're in acquisition negotiations. Yes. Silence. Why didn't you tell us? She asked again. Her voice had changed. Smaller. I tried. 6 years ago. You told me I was throwing my life away. We didn't know. You didn't want to know. More silence. Your father is very upset. I imagine he is. Can you just fix this? Call Amanda. Apologize to Trevor. Explain that it was a misunderstanding. I looked out the window. 42 floors down, San Francisco spread out like a circuit board. The Bay Bridge glittered in the winter sun. No, I said. Sarah. I didn't do anything wrong. Trevor walked into a business meeting. I conducted a business meeting. If he's upset, that's his problem. Not mine. You embarrassed him. I sat at the head of my own conference table and presented my own company's financials to a client. If that embarrassed him, he embarrassed himself. He's going to marry your sister. Then he should probably get used to the idea that I exist. My mother made a small sound. Not quite a sob. Not quite a gasp. I have to go, I said. I hung up before she could respond. Amanda called at 4:17 p.m. I was in a strategy meeting with my executive team. I excused myself and stepped into my office. Hello, Amanda. You did this on purpose. I did my job. You knew Trevor would be there. You knew he'd see you. You set this up to humiliate me. I didn't know Trevor would be on the Goldman team until this morning. I've been negotiating this acquisition for 3 months. Long before you got engaged. You should have told me. Why? So I could prepare him. So I could explain. Explain what? That your sister isn't actually a failure? That I actually built something? Why would you need to prepare him for that? He was crying now. I could hear it in her voice. You don't understand what this has done. What has it done? He won't talk to me. He came home from your meeting and locked himself in his study. He won't answer my calls. His mother called me asking what kind of family I come from. She asked why we lied about you. I didn't lie. You did. I told them what I knew. You told them what you wanted to believe. She sobbed. Fully sobbed. Why are you doing this to me? I'm not doing anything to you. I'm running my company. I'm negotiating a deal that my team has worked on for months. You're the one who decided I wasn't good enough to sit at your Christmas table. You're the one who told me I'd complicate your narrative. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. Silence. Just her breathing and the occasional catch in her throat. Trevor says the deal might fall through now, she whispered. He says Goldman might pull out because of the conflict of interest. He says I ruined his career. Goldman isn't pulling out. Richard Kowalski told me personally that he's recommending we move to final negotiations. If Trevor told you otherwise, he lied. But the deal is fine. Trevor's ego is bruised. Those are different problems. What am I supposed to do? That's not my problem to solve. Sarah, please. I have a meeting. I need to go. I hung up. My father showed up at my office at 6:45 p.m. The receptionist called me. Miss Chin, there's a gentleman here to see you. He says he's your father. Send him to my office. He walked in 3 minutes later. He'd never seen my office before. He stood in the doorway and looked around. The corner view. The floor-to-ceiling windows. The sitting area with the leather couch and the coffee table made of reclaimed wood. The framed magazine covers on the wall. Fortune. Forbes. Fast Company. He saw the nameplate on my desk. Sarah Chin, founder and CEO. He sat down in one of the chairs across from my desk. I remained standing. You should have told us, he said. I tried. Not hard enough. I said nothing. He looked at the magazine covers again. When did all this happen? Over 6 years. And you never thought to mention it? I mentioned it constantly. You never listened. His jaw tightened. Don't put this on me. You were secretive. You were vague. You never gave us details. I told you I raised $47 million in venture capital. You asked if that was real money. He flinched. I told you we had 70 employees. You asked if I was managing a call center. I didn't understand. You didn't want to understand. You wanted me to fail. You wanted me to come back to consulting with my tail between my legs so you could say you were right. That's not true. Isn't it? He stood. He walked to the window. Looked out at the city. The lights were coming on. The fog was rolling in from the bay. Trevor is a good man, he said quietly. He's good for Amanda. Then he'll be fine. He's humiliated. He'll recover. You could have handled this differently. How? Should I have recused myself from my own company's acquisition? Should I have hidden in my office so Trevor wouldn't have to see me? Should I have apologized for being successful? He turned to face me. You could have warned us. Why? So we could. He stopped. So you could what? Uninvite me from Christmas in a nicer way? Explain to Trevor that I'm not actually a failure? Rewrite the story you've been telling about me for 6 years. He said nothing. I'm not the one who needs to fix this, I said. You are. What do you want from me? Nothing. Sarah. I don't need your approval anymore. I don't need your validation. I don't need you to understand what I do or be proud of me or tell your friends about my company. I needed those things 6 years ago. I don't need them now. His face went red. So that's it? You're cutting us off. I'm setting a boundary. Over Christmas? Over being treated like I don't matter. Over being excluded from my own family because I don't fit the story you want to tell. Over being asked to disappear so Amanda can shine. We didn't ask you to disappear. Yes, you did. He stared at me. Something in his expression shifted. Collapsed. He looked old suddenly. Tired. What do you want? He asked again. I want you to leave. Sarah. Please leave. He walked to the door. Stopped. Turned back. I didn't know, he said. I really didn't know. I know. Can we fix this? I don't know. He nodded. He left. The door closed softly behind him. The deal closed on March 14th. Harrington Industries acquired SupplyWise AI for $2.8 billion. All cash. Goldman Sachs represented Harrington. Trevor Ashford was listed as the relationship lead in the final documentation. He never attended another meeting. Richard Kowalski handled everything personally. I received a text from Amanda on March 15th. Trevor and I called off the engagement. I wanted you to know. I didn't respond immediately. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed. I'm sorry. She replied 2 minutes later. I'm not. My father sent me an email on April 2nd. 3 months and 7 days after our conversation in my office. The subject line read, "No excuses." The body of the email was short. Sarah, I owe you an apology. Not a conditional one. Not one that tries to justify what we did. Just an apology. We were wrong. I was wrong. We excluded you because we didn't understand your success, and instead of asking questions or being proud, we treated it like a threat. We made Amanda's moment more important than your dignity. That was cruel. I've spent the last 3 months trying to understand why I did that. I don't have a good answer. Fear maybe. Fear that if you were successful in a way I didn't understand, it meant I'd failed as a father. Fear that I'd missed something important about my own daughter. I did miss it. I missed 6 years of watching you build something extraordinary. I can't get those years back. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking you to come to dinner or call me or pretend this didn't happen. I'm just telling you that I see you now. Really see you. And I'm proud of you. Even if I have no right to be. When you're ready to talk, if you're ever ready, I'll be here. That. I read it 3 times. I didn't respond that day. Or the next. Or the week after. But I didn't delete it. My mother called on April 20th. I was at the office, working late, reviewing integration plans with Harrington's operations team. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. Her voice was careful. Tentative. Is this a bad time? I have a few minutes. I wanted to tell you something. I enrolled in a computer science course. Online. Through Stanford's extension program. I blinked. What? I realized I don't actually know what you do. What your company does. I've spent 6 years nodding along when you mentioned your work, but I never asked real questions. I never tried to learn. So I'm learning. Mom. I'm not good at it. I'm terrible at it, actually. But I'm trying. I want to understand your world. Even if it's too late. My throat tightened. It's not too late. Isn't it? I don't know. She was quiet for a moment. Your father told me about his email. I got it. Are you going to respond? Eventually. When you're ready. Yes. That's fair. She paused. I love you, Sarah. I know I didn't show it in the right way. I know I let you down. But I love you. I know. Do you? I'm learning to. She laughed. It sounded wet. Like she was crying. That's more than I deserve. Probably. Can I call you again? Yes. Hey. I'll let you get back to work. She hung up. I saw Amanda in May. She asked to meet for coffee. Neutral territory. A cafe in Palo Alto, halfway between her apartment and my office. She looked different. Thinner. Her hair was shorter. She wasn't wearing the engagement ring anymore. Thank you for coming, she said. Of course. We ordered coffee. Sat down at a corner table. She wrapped her hands around her cup but didn't drink. I've been in therapy, she said. That's good. My therapist asked me why I was so afraid of you being successful. I said nothing. I didn't have an answer at first. But I've been thinking about it. And I think it's because if you were successful, really successful in a way I couldn't explain or control or fit into a neat category, then it meant you'd done something I couldn't do. Something I didn't even understand. She looked up at me. Her eyes were red. I spent my whole life being the perfect daughter. Perfect grades. Perfect career. Perfect fiancé. And you just did your own thing. You left the path. You built something from nothing. And instead of being proud of you, I was terrified that it made me look small. You're not small. I feel small. I felt small my whole life. And I made you feel smaller so I could feel big. That's unforgivable. I haven't forgiven you yet. I know. I might not. I know. We sat in silence. She took a sip of her coffee. Set it down. Trevor sent me an apology letter, she said. Through his lawyer. He said the relationship wasn't built on honesty. He said he couldn't marry someone whose family he didn't respect. I'm sorry. Don't be. He was right. We weren't honest. I wasn't honest. I told him what I thought he wanted to hear about my family. About you. I painted this picture of myself as someone who came from nothing and made something. And it was all a lie. You did make something. I'm a good lawyer. I'm not you. You don't have to be me. I know. But I have to be someone I respect. And I wasn't. Not for a long time. She finished her coffee. Stood to leave. Can we do this again? She asked. Maybe. When you're ready. Yes. She nodded. She left. 6 months after the acquisition closed, Harrington Industries threw a celebration dinner for the integration team. The deal had exceeded projections. We'd saved them $180 million in operational costs in the first 6 months alone. The CEO wanted to thank everyone involved. The dinner was at Boulevard, a restaurant in the Embarcadero. 200 people. Harrington's executive team. My former executive team, now part of Harrington. Key personnel from both sides. I almost didn't go. But Patricia convinced me. You built this, she said. You deserve to celebrate it. So I went. I walked in at 7:15 p.m. The restaurant was packed. People were laughing, drinking, toasting. I recognized faces. My former CTO. My former CFO. My former chief of staff, David, who now ran integration operations for Harrington. David saw me and walked over. Sarah. You came. I came. There's someone who wants to meet you. He led me through the crowd to a corner table. An older man stood when he saw me. Silver hair. Expensive suit. Harrington's CEO, Robert Harrington himself. Miss Chen, he said. I've been hoping to thank you in person. Mr. Harrington. The work you did to build SupplyWise AI is extraordinary. What we've accomplished in 6 months is beyond anything we projected. You changed my company. Thank you. I mean it. This deal was the best decision I've made in 30 years of running this company. He raised his glass. The room quieted. People turned to look. To Sarah Chen, he said, who built something remarkable and had the grace to let us be part of it. The room erupted in applause. 200 people clapping. For me. For what I'd built. I looked around the room. I saw my team. Former team. Chosen family. People who'd believed in the vision when it was just code on a screen and a pitch deck full of dreams. I raised my glass. To all of us, I said. We drank. I spent Christmas Eve this year with Patricia and her family. She invited me 3 weeks in advance. No pressure. Just an open invitation. We're doing dinner at 6, she said. My husband's cooking. My kids will talk your ear off about Minecraft. You're welcome to join us if you don't have other plans. I didn't have other plans. I went. Her house was warm. Full of noise and laughter and the smell of roasted vegetables. Her kids did talk about Minecraft. For 45 minutes straight. Her husband asked me about the integration process with Harrington. Patricia's mother asked if I was dating anyone. I said no. She said that was fine. Not everyone needed a partner to be complete. At 9 p.m. we sat in the living room with coffee and dessert. Patricia's daughter asked what I did for work. I used to run a software company, I said. How I help other people run theirs. That sounds cool. It is. Did you always want to do that? I thought about it. No. I wanted to build something that mattered. It took me a while to figure out what that looked like. She nodded like that made perfect sense. At 10:30 p.m. I drove home. My phone buzzed as I pulled into my driveway. A text from my father. Merry Christmas, Sarah. Thinking of you. No pressure. Just love. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. Merry Christmas, Dad. Let's talk in January. He responded immediately. I'd like that. I've learned something in the past year. Vindication doesn't feel the way I thought it would. It doesn't feel like triumph. It doesn't feel like justice served. Feels like freedom. Freedom from needing approval from people who couldn't see me. Freedom from shrinking myself to fit someone else's story. Freedom from the weight of being invisible in my own family. The door isn't locked. But it has a lock now. And I'm the one who holds the key. When my family is ready to see me, really see me the person I actually am, not the person they needed me to be, I'll be here. But I'm not waiting by the door anymore. I'm building the next thing. Whatever that is. And this time I'm building it for me.